Just look at all this. Wait, how did a frog make the big time?
The success of The Muppet Show launched the Muppets into a strong brand, and combined with the audience of Sesame Street, the Muppets were reaching millions of people across all age groups. This great achievement left Henson and his team with a question: where do they go from here? While the team could have just continued to develop more episodes of The Muppet Show, or to develop spin-off shows, the team believed that the best way to further expand both the audience of the Muppets, as well as the storytelling capabilities of the characters, would be to create a Muppet movie. At first, the idea seemed exciting, but as time went on and the plans for the film started to come into place, the team started to realize that creating a feature-length film focused on these puppet characters would create new kinds of challenges they had not had to address in the television setting. In order to begin to address these issues, Jim Henson, Frank Oz, and film director James Frawley went outside of London to test what the Muppet characters would look like in the real world, since this was where the team wished to film their movie.
Isn't that terrific? Look at all those twigs and branches up there. Look at those leaves.
That's a great looking tree.
Yeah, look at that bark.
Before this Muppet movie, no other production had attempted to create an entire feature film showing the entire bodies of hand puppets.
I got a leg that kicks.
I do understand that I'm not a real bear. But I know what I am. I am what I am.
Showing the entire bodies of the Muppet characters was going to present a new set of difficulties the team had never had to address before. Fortunately though, these tests revealed that it was possible to film the characters' full bodies and still have the characters appear quality and appealing. Once these tests were complete, the team was confident that they could make these characters work in a film-like setting. Now confident that the Muppets could perform well in a film, the team began filming what was at the time known as the Muppet Get-Together on July 5th, 1978. Even after all the tests the crew had run through though, the team still ran into a number of unique challenges during the filming of the Muppet movie. The opening shot itself, a seemingly simple shot with Kermit alone on a log, required a complex setup to achieve the actions and movements the team needed the puppet to take. In fact, this scene was so complicated, it took the team 5 days to film. To make it seem as though Kermit was sitting alone on a log with no puppeteer controlling him, Jim Henson had to sit underneath the log and under the water in a metal container. Within this metal container, Henson had access to Kermit so that he could control him with his hand as he normally would. He was also given an air tube to ensure he could breathe and a monitor that would allow him to view his performance and see what Kermit would look like on camera. This was only the first of many creative solutions, which would need to be developed to complete the film in the way the creators desired. More challenges began for any shot in which the Muppets would need to stand alone in a full body shot, with the full view of a character being shown, and most of these shots not having a log to hide under. The Puppeteers would need to find a way to control the characters while not being near them. The team came up with two main solutions to solve these problems, the first of which was remote controls. Engineers came up with designs for remote control systems, which would allow the team to puppeteer the characters from a distance, so that the characters could seemingly move on their own. While this worked, it only allowed for certain kinds of movements, as more complex movements would still need to be performed by puppeteers near the puppets. This issue was solved by having the puppeteers control the characters in front of a blue screen, which would allow the puppeteers to control the characters as normal, and then composite the characters into a shot to make it seem as though the character is standing on their own. One specific full body shot was especially difficult for the team to accomplish. The shot of Kermit riding the bike needed extra work done to control him from a distance during a moving shot. The Kermit puppet was posed onto the seat, with the legs and arms both attached to the pedals and handlebars. In order to control the movements of the puppet, the team used an overhead crane which had a marionette system which held onto the bike using strings which would not appear on camera. These strings were used to guide the bike forward and to control the puppet. Another difficult shot which dealt with vehicles were the shots of Kermit and Fozzie in the car. Henson himself specifically selected the classic cars used in the film, and he wanted the characters to seem as though they were really driving a 1951 Studebaker Commander coupe. For the production of the film, the team required 2 of these cars, one of which would be used for the exterior traveling shots, and another which would be used for the interior shots where the puppets would perform. The car used for the wide shots did not need to be modified, as the camera would be far enough away from the car that a person could just drive the car normally. For the interior shots, however, the car needed to move while the puppets were performing. Achieving this kind of shot required many people working together simultaneously. One crew member sat in the trunk of the car and would drive the car remotely. They were given a monitor so that they could see where they were driving and ensure the car stayed on the road. The front of this car was modified so that the puppeteers could sit on the floor and control the puppets from below, so that it would appear to the camera as though the characters were moving by themselves and driving the car. All of these shots required a strong team all working together to achieve the ambitious shots. But the most ambitious shot, which required the most amount of people working together, was the final shot of the film, in which all the puppets would perform together. In total, the crowd consisted of over 250 Muppets, all moving at the same time. At the time, this was almost every Muppet which had ever been created. Such a grand amount of puppets required an immense amount of work from a large team. As Henson archivist Karen Falk stated, 137 puppeteers were enlisted from the Puppeteers of America to perform every Muppet extant. Prior to the day-long filming of the shot, Henson gave the enthusiastic participants a lesson in the art of cinematic puppetry. Amazingly, it did take just 1 day. In addition to the 137 puppeteers which were recruited, the 13 puppeteers from the film crew worked on this final shot, which resulted in a total of 150 puppeteers being used for this shot. All of the puppeteers were positioned below the characters, in a pit which was 1.8 meters deep and 5.1 meters wide. Once all of these shots for the film were complete, the film went into post-production and eventually premiered at the Leicester Square Theatre in London on May 31st, 1979. The film then proceeded to release in the United States on June 22nd, 1979. Overall, the film grossed $76 million in the United States and Canada, which would make it the 7th highest grossing film in the region that year. Clearly, the film had become a great success among audiences, but it was also loved by critics. While the film did not win any Academy Awards, it was nominated for both Best Original Song and Best Adaptation Score. However, the film did win the Grammy for Best Album for Children. Many critics were impressed by the work done by the team, especially with how the team was able to make the characters move in full body shots. While these kinds of movements and shots of the Muppets may seem commonplace today, they were revolutionary at the time, a technical marvel which took hundreds of people working together to achieve. The result of this film was the reinforcement of the Muppet brand, creating a strong legacy which has allowed the characters and stories to continue to endure.